This is the wee bowl here, and even the Americans call it the wee bowl, so it's known around the world as the wee bowl. This is the half pipe here, and this area here is known as the reservoir. This was probably more by luck than anything else, but this little hit turned out absolutely perfect.
Says a lot of it's by mistake that everything works so well between the two sections of the park. But, you know, the guy's such an intelligent guy, it's just modesty behind him that's saying that.
There are times when I say I should be settling down and leading a more sane life, doing some bird watching and digging the garden and things, but not often. The skate park here, it belongs to the kids. This is their territory. They make the rules. They don't have any boring old farts like me come along and tell them. They tell me how it runs. I ask them, how do you do that trick? You know, it's not like a traditional sport where they get the older generation will pass down their wisdom, so-called wisdom, to the kids.
This is where I fall on my backside.
Old guys like me just have to go along with it. I think it's rather good actually, because it really gives them a sense of responsibility and a pride of ownership.
Livingston for a lot of people is a springboard. I mean, I've got a lot of friends who were skateboarders and who skated Livy regularly, and they don't live there anymore. They don't live in Scotland anymore. They're all over the world. You know, some of them are surfers, some of them have got businesses all over the place, some of them have got skateboard companies. And Livy was one of the springboards that allowed that to happen. If Livy hadn't turned up, who knows what would have happened to some people. I guess, you know, it could be horrible. Got to a stage where I was about 24, 25. Now, you can still skate at that age easily, but you've also got to make a living, and I found myself gradually stopping to skateboard and making a living. I worked in the theatre, which I didn't really want to do. I wanted to continue to skate. Then the whole skate competition scene gradually started getting bigger, and ramps started going up, and you could just see that more people were getting into it. And, you know, from a business point, me and Davey both, you know, were talking together about setting up a skate shop, you know, trying to get into the business in order to continue skateboarding. So we set up Clan. We won the Reader's Digest Best Business of 1989. Glasgow Opportunities lent us the cash to get started, basically, to buy some stock, to open the shop, to, you know, all the stuff you got to do, give us a business plan, took us through the whole thing, and then they entered us into this national competition against all other businesses, you know, Pampered Pet Products and a whole bunch of stuff. And it was bizarre, you know, because we were just two skateboarders having a laugh. We did a phenomenal bit of business, you know, because we just basically hit the nail on the head. Skateboarding went crazy, and we were right in the position to sort of benefit from that to a certain extent. I've never gone into this business to make money as such. You have to make money if you're in business, there's no doubt about that, but I've always done it to continue to be able to ride snowboards, skateboards, surfboards, whatever. Nowadays it's mostly surfboards and snowboards, but originally it was purely to continue skateboarding. You know, you've got two choices. You either give up skateboarding and get a real job, or you get involved in skateboarding and hopefully it'll fund you enough to continue to skate and put something back into it.
Is it an art form, or is it a sport, or what is it? You know, it's a problem for so many people. But, you know, you look at the shapes and the style of it, you know, you look at it, of course it's a work of art. It's beautiful. And then, of course, there's art plastered all over the thing, you know, all through the year. You'll see plenty of graffiti and paintings, murals. It's a social space, and therefore, of course, it's an art space.
It's a kind of alphabetical art form where, you know, most general people just walk by it and see it as, you know, rubbish or some kind of crazy modern art, but actually there's messages in the painting. It started off back in New York, people tagging, you know, and obviously wouldn't use their proper name, so to make up nicknames, sort of code names, and it was generally started in New York with competition, with rival gangs tagging each other's property in their territories, and it kind of evolved from that, making bigger and more colourful tags, painting trains. You know, the bigger, the more colours you got in it, it means that you spent more time actually doing it, so it was a higher risk of actually getting caught doing it. Under permission from the local council, and we were actually started collecting money from skaters, you know, by the tin to paint the skate park fund, because at the time, you know, the late 80s, there was a kind of crazy people painting football colours and different football related remarks, you know, basically bigotry remarks and stuff like that, and it was just pretty horrible looking, so we kind of injected a lot of colour into the place. It just seems to be more pleasing to the eye because every part you look at is different. There's always something different to focus on rather than bare grey, you know, and in Livingston as well, in a whole, is quite a grey place if you live here, you know, but it looks really good like this now.
First went to the park in Livy in 1987, I think. We used to get the bus out maybe a couple of times a month, which was this kind of horrendous trek through all sorts of various sort of scorched earth towns on the way out there. That was always slightly nerve-wracking, but you'd always kind of travel in a big pack with your lunch in your bag and your board under your arm. You'd kind of end up there and you'd be so incredibly excited that you'd just have like the best day, and then you'd almost miss the last bus home. Skateboarding provides you with a kind of different perspective and a different way of looking at things. Kind of grew up street skating in Glasgow and found myself in all sorts of strange locations, and sort of in the sort of bowels of the Anderson Centre on a Saturday afternoon, looking for something to throw myself off with sort of dozens of other children. So I think skateboarding will sort of put you in positions you would never imagine being put in. I'm an artist nowadays as well. That's what I've ended up doing, and I kind of always say to people that I probably wouldn't be an artist if it hadn't been for skateboarding. My way of dealing with things has always been to sort of look at them and think about them in terms of interpreting them through visual means, I suppose. And I mean that happens in cities for me, in terms of looking at architecture, and like all my work pretty much now relates to architecture and ideas of architecture, and how you can understand how the world works through basically looking at things like buildings or sort of structures, and draw out meaning sort of in terms of reasons for these things.